Neeves Knives. My name is Kara, and my awesome, lovely, wonderful husband Jared is working the camera today. That way I can give you guys my opinion and experiences with the Benchmade mini Bugout. Now, thank you to Lavender Pants, our awesome friend and viewer, for loaning us this knife. This truly is like a perfect knife for me to check out, and I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to check this out. I got a chance to do some field testing with it at work, using it in a light duty capacity, which is really what it's meant for. So let's go ahead and get to the good and the bad of the Benchmade mini Bugouts. Hello, welcome to the review, guys. All right, here we have the mini Bugout. I'm just gonna give you a quick size comparison, literally to one knife, and then we'll get to the good and then we'll get to the bad. So I just wanted to throw it up next to the mini Griptilian, only because it's such a perfect size comparison. This thing is about, just a couple quick specs, this thing is about 18 thousandths behind the edge, BTE. And this originally was white scales. It is dyed purple. You cannot purchase it this way. The price is $136 for the white and the coated blade, and the orange and the non-coated blade is $119. So here you have your mini Bugout. It is a smidge longer. Great size comparison, honestly. The only difference would be that your mini Griptilian is just a smidge chunkier in the girth area of the handle. So, but yeah, not even really by much. Okay, let's get rid of that and let's move on to the good stuff. So, I brought this guy to work with me. Typically at work I go through a lot of box cutting, bag cutting, strap cutting, things like that. Now, I did not use this guy on cutting plastic pallet straps because it's not my knife, it's coated, and those straps are really hard to cut, so I'm not going to be able to give you feedback on that. However, I did get to cut a significant amount of cardboard, both thick, thin, plastic bags that range from thick, thin, foil, all different types of things. So, my first good thing about this glorious little knife is going to be the blade shape and the thinness of the blade. So, I already said that it was 18 thousandths behind the edge. This thing, honestly, is quite the laser. I was able to take a loose plastic bag, so something, right, that wasn't taut in any way, loose, and I was able to just come up to it, cut the corner off, no problems. Okay, and something that I can do that with one hand, where I can hold a bag, come up with my knife, and just hack the corner off without any problems. That's a really important thing to me to have in a knife, because a lot of times I don't have the ability to sit there and hold the bag tight and do all that stuff. I don't have time. So I gotta hack it off. And this thing did that, no problems, no snagging. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing about this knife. And that's kind of the trend for most of the good aspects of this knife. Same thing with cardboard. Well, I'll get to that when we get to the bad here. So, same thing with cardboard. This thing slices through like a laser. It's got a relatively thin profile all around and a really nice thin tip. So when you started to cut something by starting with the tip, it was able to start your cut really nice. It was able to sink in, and then this slight belly right here was able to glide you right into the meat of the blade here and cut perfectly through. Like, the geometry of the entire edge was just really beautiful, the way it went through stuff. I was actually really impressed, because typically you see a standard drop point and you're just like, whatever, standard. It was great. Now, another thing that most people would expect me to throw in the bad category, including Jared, which I will not put in the bad category on this knife, is the FRN. I do not mind the FRN on this knife. I'm throwing it in there as a positive, because though G10 doesn't weigh that much more, there's just something about being able to have something seriously this light that I can appreciate. I use this knife if it was mine. Sadly, it's not. If it was, though, I would use it as a light-duty side knife. You know what I mean? And I think that's where it shines, and I think that because that's what it's meant for, that the FRN works great. And also, look at that color. The fact that you can buy this in white and dye is a massive positive to me. Another positive, another good that I found here was the smoothness of the axis lock. Now, I know that's going to be a variable. A lot of times with Benchmade knives, you may get it, one knife and it's fine, and then another one, maybe that lock needs to be broken in. In the way that we got it, this thing has been smooth from the get-go. I like it better than the regular Bugout. I honestly do. It fits great in my hand. The lock is so easy to pull down.
So easy. And it's really, really smooth and snappy when you open, which, you know, I love. Action is just absolutely on point. Now, just as a general thing before I move on to the bads, I just want to give you guys just a little bit of an overview of some of the other things I got to do with it. So one of the other things I got to do with it was I was cutting through a piece of cardboard that was double thick. Not the whole way through, but towards the end it wound up being double thick. And I wanted to see, when I was kind of push cutting or kind of drag cutting my way through this cardboard, would it get stopped up when the material got twice as thick? It did not. Okay, I thought maybe it would because of just the abrupt change in thickness, and being that this isn't really like, you know, a heavy, hard duty knife, but the laser thinness of this edge geometry and just even the way that the grind is, the height of it, it worked wonderfully. It went right through. It really did. I didn't have any problems. But that is going to lead me into the bad side, which is going to segue into my next point, which is this choil. Now, though good for sharpening, it was kind of bad for cutting, I'm not going to lie, because this isn't that big of a knife. When I started on something larger and I'm dragging my way through, a lot of times this would get, like, materials would get snagged on the choil before I could get my way out of the cut. Some of that I can make an adjustment for to avoid, but unfortunately when you're trying to rush and do things, it happens. So, I'm not going to say that I would prefer there to be no choil, but if you look at something like the Civivi McKenna, which is a small knife, similar size as well, and it doesn't have a choil, and I appreciate that, because I can glide through things all day and I don't have to worry, because the end of the blade is my hand essentially, and that's awesome. So it was a small downfall. I know some of you would put the FRN in the negative side, so for those of you who don't like FRN, we'll consider that a negative, but not for me. So another thing that I would consider to be sort of bad about this knife would be the pricing of it and of its orange counterpart. This one is $136, which in my opinion is just overpriced in general when the large size is only like $4 more. That's kind of ridiculous. I know it's Benchmade, so it's not necessarily unexpected, it's just not appreciated. Now then you come to the issue of the options you have. So you have this one, which is white with a coated blade for $136, and then you have the other one, which is orange with a satin blade, and that one's $119. That's a $17 price gap just for a coated blade. And then not only that, but the one that comes with the white scales, which you can see they are totally able to be dyed, that's great, right? It leaves you versatility, so I'm not that mad about the two color options. However, if you don't want a coated blade, but you don't want orange scales, you gotta fork over $30+ to get a new set of scales. And now you're sinking in just as much money as you would have for the full-size Bugout anyway. Like, if not more. And it just starts getting to be a lot for this knife. Now, what I always say, especially when I have a loaner, right? I'm sitting here saying how much I enjoyed using this knife, and that is all 100% true. But the fact of the matter is I probably won't go out and be buying this knife. Some of that's my, our personal financial situation, but the thing is there's a lot of other knives out there for the same price that I would totally scrape together and make happen if I liked it and felt that it was worth it. But sometimes it's really hard to pull the trigger on something if you don't see it being financially a good deal. I don't want to get ripped off. I'm not saying you're going to feel ripped off if you get this. I'm just personally saying that I don't see the value in the materials per the value in the price. The American-made portion and Benchmade's reputation and warranty is about the only thing saving it there. So I'm not saying there's not a chance, but right now, no. That doesn't stop me, though, from all the good things I said about it. My last bad thing that I want to point out before I wrap this up is this screw placement drives me nuts. It just is aesthetically unpleasing to me. Like, it's like uneven. Like, it's, I don't know. You can see it. If you're have a little bit of a more of a like a perfectionist kind of personality, you'll probably understand what I'm talking about. I just don't like the way these are. It's just weird spacing, and it's like outside the perfect pattern here. I don't know. I just don't like it. But that's me. But yeah. So everything else I really appreciate about this thing, though. I definitely think that if you're someone who likes little light side knives, that you won't be disappointed with this purchase, especially if you're looking for great smooth access locks. So all in all, that's kind of what I have to say after spending a couple days at work with the mini Bugout. Bang!